What do you guys, your boy KiingSaySo, and I'm back with another reaction. Before we get to it, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Check out the description box for the monitor and hit the like button because we are on the road to 2K. More people hit the like button, the faster we can get there. If you need some promo, make sure you follow my Instagram and hit my DM if you need some promo. No kidding, bro. With all that being said, though, let's jump right to this video.
For the past few years, O-Block has been running the rap game and also the streets of Chicago. But the gang has also suffered countless losses and pressure from cops, especially after the murder of the gang's main op, FBG Duck. Let's get into the rise and fall of O-Block. The Parkway Garden Homes, now known as O-Block, is a low-income housing complex on the 6400 block of South King Drive. Built in the 1950s, it was a popular area for working-class black families and was even home to famous residents like Michelle Obama and Dwayne Wade. When its crime picked up in the late 80s and early 90s, it became a major hub for gang
Chicago, but not
early
O-Block.
on,
That's
the building
crazy.
was controlled by Mickey Cobras and Gangsta Disciples. But by the mid-90s, the Black Disciples took control. In the early 2000s, the BDs in Parkway Gardens started going by the name Wick City, which stood for wild, insane, crazy. In the late 2000s, Wick City began beefing with a nearby set of the Gangsta Disciples called STLEBT. Their hood was around 63rd and St. Lawrence, which is right around the corner from O-Block. Like most beef in Chicago, it's not clear exactly where the tension started. But in 2010, a Wick City member named Reezy was allegedly murdered by someone from STLEBT, which led to a series of retaliation murders and a decade-long war that still goes on to this day. On August 11th, 2011, a high-ranking member of Wick City named Odie Perry was shot and killed on the 400 block of East 64th Street, right around the corner from Parkway Gardens. After Odie's death, Wick City changed its name to O-Block in honor of his memory. No one was ever arrested for Odie's murder, but his death was rumored to be retaliation for the death of an STLEBT member named Tuka. Shondell Gregory, aka Tuka, was a 15-year-old GD who was killed a few months earlier while waiting for the bus. His murder is believed to be retaliation for the murder of a BD named Edric Ty Walker, who was killed in 2009. Odie Perry was shot on Tuka's birthday, and it's been said that OD may have been involved in his murder. It's also been rumored that OD was killed by one of Tuka's best friends, a teenage girl named KI, who was allegedly one of STLEBT's main shooters. But that ain't never been confirmed, and some say KI wasn't the actual killer. The deaths of both Tuka and Odie Perry was two of the biggest events that started the beef between O-Block and STLEBT. Plus, around that time, drill music was just starting to go mainstream, which also had an impact on what was going on in the streets. In January 2012, Chief Keef dropped the song 300, which featured the bar, Tuka Gang, Jump 300, bringing the O-Block STLEBT beef into the music. Then 2 months later, he dropped a song and video for I Don't Like, which quickly popped off and introduced the rest of the world to drill music. The wave of new music shined a spotlight on Chicago, and suddenly, dudes from the South Side was becoming major stars. Lil Durk signed a deal with Def Jam in 2013, and other rappers from the area like Lil Reese, Fredo Santana, LA Capone, and Rondo No. 9 was also getting major looks from the industry. But even though there was rappers on both sides of the war, it was mainly BD rappers who was getting the attention. So, over the next few years, O-Block had a major influence on the rap game. But drill music ain't just have an impact on the music industry. It also started to influence what was going on in the streets. Rappers dissing each other's hoods and dead homies in songs only increased the violence, especially between O-Block and 63rd. On April 11, 2014, KI was killed after being shot while walking on the 6400 block of South Eberhard Ave. Her killer was never arrested, but is believed to have been committed by one of O-Block's most famous artists, King Von. Von and KI had a...
Hey, you know what would be crazy when I be doing these reactions? That every time they be like, this person has supposedly, I'm gonna say supposedly, don't know if it's all fact, but supposedly got this body, that body, and then they get shot walking. Why are you walking down the street? If you out here doing all this reckless stuff, why are you walking down the street? You should be in a car everywhere you move, even though none is really safe. But it's like, bro, it be wild. Y'all go to my second react channel. I do a lot of these reactions, and they always say, the person was walking, the person was walking, the person was walking, the person was standing at a bus stop. What are you doing? I mean, but then again, most of these people that they be naming, they do be all young, 15, 16, 18. So, you know, most time it ain't just that easy just to go get a car. But it's like, bro, y'all gotta try to at least be more careful, especially from what I hear. Y'all ops are literally across the street. Like, y'all not even that far from each other.
complicated relationship where they often diss each other online while borderline flirting, but they was also sworn ops. Von was questioned by police in connection with K.I.'s murder, but the DA ain't pursued the case due to lack of evidence. But even though Von got out of that case, he still got caught up in another murder case that almost cost him his freedom. In July 2014, Von was arrested in connection with the murder of Malcolm Stuckey and the attempted murder of 2 other men. Von and Stuckey was both at the same house party the night he was killed. Police said Von recruited another BD from O Block named Big Mike to carry out the shooting. Big Mike confirmed this by telling authorities that they both fired at the group, but that it was Von's idea and he was the one who fired the kill shot. At the last minute, Mike refused to testify and ruined the case for the prosecution. But since he admitted to the shooting, Mike was sentenced to 28 years, and Von was allowed to walk since he kept quiet after spending about 2 years locked up fighting the case. While he was locked up, Von saw all his homies doing their thing in the music industry, so he decided to start rapping when he got out. Dirk signed him to OTF not long after he was released, and he dropped his first official single, Crazy Story, on December 6, 2018. The song went viral and quickly racked up millions of views. Out of all Chicago drill rappers, Von had some of the best bars and storytelling abilities. Plus, he had the respect in the streets to back up his music. In just a short period of time, he became one of the most talked about rappers in the game, further pushing O Block's position in the music industry. But by that time, the GDs was also starting to get noticed. In January 2018, FBG Duck, a rapper from STL EBT and one of O Block's main ops, dropped the track Slide. This song became a major hit and featured 21 Savage on the remix. Duck was making music for a while, and there was plenty of other GD rappers who had built a buzz in the city, but this was the first time that someone from STL EBT gained traction in the industry. Duck and other rappers from STL claimed they was being blackballed by Dirk and other rappers from O Block who had all the clout and connections. But sadly, right when Duck was starting to gain momentum, he was shot and killed while out shopping in Chicago's Gold Coast neighborhood. Around 4:30 p.m. on August 4th, 2020, Duck was outside a store on East Oak Street when 2 cars pulled up and 4 dudes hopped out and opened fire. Duck was shot multiple times along with his girlfriend and another man he was with. They was all rushed to the hospital, where Duck was pronounced dead at just 26. A few weeks before his murder, Duck dropped a ruthless diss track called Dead, where he took shots at several dead members from 600 and O Block, including O.D. Perry. Police think the song likely contributed to his murder. Just a few months later, King Von was also killed in a completely unrelated shooting. He bumped into Quando Rondo outside of a hookah lounge in Atlanta, and a fight broke out. They was allegedly beefing over a female. Plus, Von also had problems with NBA YoungBoy, who signed Quando Rondo. When Von started punching Rondo, one of his homies, Lil Tim, pulls out his burner and started letting off shots, killing Von and other members of their group. This sparked a beef between O Block and NBA that's still currently active. Many say the death of King Von was the beginning of the end for O Block. He had so much momentum behind him and could have taken his hood to a new level. But like a lot of rappers these days, he was never able to truly reach his full potential. To make matters worse, all the violence was attracting the attention of the police, who was closely investigating O Block, especially after the murder of FBG Duck. In July 2020, the FBI arrested 23 members of the Black Disciples as part of an investigation into drug and gun trafficking in the South Side. During the investigation, law enforcement seized 24 firearms, more than 13 kilos of cocaine, a kilo of heroin, 750 grams of fentanyl, 378 grams of crack, and over $50,000 in cash. The investigation named Darnell McMiller, aka Murder, as one of the main leaders of the Black Disciples, who was arrested and hit with federal gun and firearms charges. Other high-ranking members of the gang was also arrested in the indictment, which put a major dent on their operations in the streets of Chicago. Plus, just a few months before that happened, it was announced that Parkway Gardens was being put up for sale. When that news broke, Lil Durk claimed he was willing to get the money together and buy it, no matter the price. But by the time the news was released to the public, someone had already bought the building. It ain't clear who bought it or what they plan on doing with it, but it seems likely it'll be torn down and redeveloped, kicking out many of the current residents. O Block has been a major headquarters for the Black Disciples for many years, so the sale of the building will make it difficult for the gang to continue to operate on a street level, especially with so much pressure from the police. The murder of FBG Duck only made the gang a bigger target and eventually resulted in a RICO indictment. On October 13, 2021, 5 members of O Block, including Muwop, Kenny Mack, C Murda, C-Thang, and Los, was arrested for federal racketeering offenses, including the murder of Carlton Wheatley, aka FBG Duck. The indictment also charged the men with federal firearms violations and assault in aid of racketeering. According to the indictment, the police used the defendant's own social media to convict them of the crime. The paperwork alleges that members of O Block publicly claim responsibility for their acts of violence in the city of Chicago and use social media and music to increase their criminal enterprise. After the news broke, multiple videos started going around the internet that allegedly showed O Block self-snitching. In one video, Von can be seen handing out huge stacks of cash to dudes from his neighborhood, including his boy Muwop, one of Duck's alleged killers.
Another
video shows Boss Top, a well-known rapper from O Block, basically confirming that Duck was killed for dissing their dead homies. In the video, the interviewer asked if he knew Duck, and Boss Top responds by saying, "All I know is don't say shit about T-Roy, one of the fallen O Block members who was dissed on Dead."
Come on, dog.
Then there's the line in Lil Durk's track, "Shoulda Duck" with Pooh Shiesty, where he raps, "I told my PO through the gate that I get high as She asked me how high I get, I told her high as Duck." So far, those 5 men were the only ones arrested on RICO charges. But it's been rumored that the Chicago PD is set on turning this into a major indictment meant to take down the whole gang. Now even more evidence has been released connecting the members of O Block to the shooting. The feds recently unsealed an indictment that revealed several of the suspects were caught on surveillance cameras on the way to the scene of the crime. According to the report, someone saw Duck shopping in the Gold Coast and called up the goons from O Block to give them the drop on his location. A minute later, a group of men were caught on camera running down the stairs at O Block and hopping into 2 separate vehicles, a Chrysler and Ford Fusion. The 2 cars then sped downtown, blowing through intersections and red lights. The vehicles were caught on multiple cameras as they were speeding toward Duck's location. When they pulled up, they immediately hopped out of the car and started shooting at Duck, who was waiting in the line outside the store. After the shooting, the same vehicles were captured on surveillance again, going right back to O Block. According to police, the men arrested for Duck's murder were the ones who were in the vehicle. After searching one of the cars a few days after the shooting, they also found a handwritten note which listed C Murder's phone number, Facebook, and Instagram. They also found photos online showing the members of O Block posted up with the vehicles using the murder. So it seems like police have actual concrete evidence, not just internet rumors. To make matters even worse, O Block was recently dissed by one of the hottest rappers in the game, NBA Youngboy. Von and Youngboy had personal problems before his death that started with Von hanging out with YB's baby mama, Jania. But since Von was killed by one of Youngboy's artists, he's had beef with the entire gang. But Youngboy was also locked up fighting his own federal firearms charges since March of last year. Now he's been released on house arrest and has been allowed to continue making music from an estate in Utah. Recently, he dropped a track called Bring the Hook, which had the whole internet going crazy because he took shots at King Von and all the O Block. On the song, he raps, "It's that Squid Game, O Block pack get rolled up, murder what they told us, Atlanta boy get folded up." It ain't clear what led Youngboy to start sending shots out of nowhere. For a while, it seemed like the beef died down. But maybe he wanted to get this off his chest and felt like now was the time to do it because he may be looking at spending the next few years behind bars. Several rappers close to Von clapped back in response. Durk put up a post on social media that said, "Don't claim it if you ain't do it. You still a bitch," under a photo of him with the portrait of Von. Lil Reese also commented on a Twitter post put up by DJ Academics claiming YB was on Demon Time with his new song. Reese commented, "That ain't no demon time. He just rapping like all the rest of these rappers all rap." NLE Choppa also jumped into the conversation, replying to Lil Reese's post by saying, "I stamped that." This led to a situation between Choppa and Youngboy, with one of YB's fans running up on him at the airport for getting involved. The beef between O Block and Youngboy probably won't end anyone's career, but it'll force some fans to pick sides. Even though Durk and the rest of O Block have a lot of respect in the industry, Youngboy also has a massive fan base who are willing to run up on rappers in public on his behalf. So, while it certainly ain't over for the members of O Block who are already rich, this may be the end of their dominance over the streets and the industry. With the feds watching their every move and the projects being torn down, it might be tough for them to keep the street operations moving. Keith, Von, and Durk already made O Block a recognized name in the rap game. But without another hot up-and-coming rapper from their section to carry the torch into the next generation, their 10-year run in the industry may be coming to an end.
It's crazy that, all them artists made all that money and none of y'all thought about buying the buildings. I mean, then again, though, buying the buildings, it ain't, people say, real estate, buy a house, but then again, you gotta think about all the stuff that's gonna come with them houses, all the plumbing and lighting, and all the stuff that you gotta fix and this and that. Like, it ain't as stress free as people make it seem, though. That's no kizzy. Hit the like button, catch the next one.